Welcome back to Curt Mallory's weekly press conference here on GoSycamores.com, as well as the Indiana State football Facebook page, as Indiana State will prepare for a homecoming matchup this weekend against the Missouri State Bears. Missouri State is coming off a loss to South Dakota over the weekend, 35-28. Indiana State is also coming off a overtime defeat against South Dakota State, 54-51 in Brookings, South Dakota. And, Coach, I know we talked after the game about that game, but just quickly again, your thoughts on the game that ensued in Brookings and what were some of the main points you went over with your team yesterday when you watched the film?
Sure. It was a tough game. Wasn't the result we wanted. We battled. We fought. We came back 2 times from an 18-point deficit. And at the end of the day, you're always going to have a chance if you come together and compete like that. And we had our chances, and they came up on top. But at the end of the day, it was a loss. We're not a program about moral victories. We're about moving on, learn from our mistakes, get better, and get on to the next week. And that's what we're going to do this week.
It feel almost like the roles are reversed a little bit in terms of what South Dakota State went through the week prior, where they said everybody outside the program, they were talking about great job playing with North Dakota State, life after Dallas Goddard and Winnicky. You're not going to drop down, but internally they believe they could beat North Dakota State and felt they should have won the game. I think it's the same thing with your group. Everybody outside the program, of course, is ecstatic and saying, look how much Indiana State's improved. But you guys weren't surprised by being in the game and having a chance to win. How have you as the head coach continued to try to manage your guys and to manage that belief and make sure outside noise really never interferes with whatever you do?
Well, it's something we talked about last night. Obviously there's a lot improving that we've made, but the end result is a win. And we did not get the win, but we see internally that we've made some improvement. And the things that we've talked about a year ago was sticking together. This year we've talked about coming together. And now we got to take that next step, and we got to win together.
What do you believe is the difference between sticking together and coming together?
Getting to know one another, the belief in one another, the closeness that you develop, the bond that you develop. This is a close-knit group. Guys care about one another. They help one another. You see older guys helping younger guys. You see backups helping older guys, starters helping. I mean, it's a team atmosphere. It's a close-knit group, and that's where you see guys truly caring about one another. And not only do they amongst the team, but they see it amongst our coaching staff. We've got an unbelievable coaching staff. These players know that this coaching staff cares about them, and vice versa.
When you think of your group defensively in the fourth quarter against South Dakota State, when you're down by 18, you figure to give yourself a chance to win, you really got to keep them out of the end zone. That's a tough task to do against a quarterback and Taryn Christian in that offense. You did. You held them to basically 2 field goals, 6 points. What was it that really flipped the script defensively in that fourth quarter that allowed them to be able to get the stops when they needed and give your offense a chance to ultimately put up points on the board, which is what they did?
Absolutely. Throughout the game, on the sidelines, you're hearing it. You're hearing the offense cheering on the defense. The defense coming back and saying, hey, we're going to get this stop, in the belief that the offense is going to keep going. And that's what you felt throughout the game. And you felt encouragement throughout. It wasn't finger pointing like, hey, come on, man, you're going to get it done. And there was never panic. And everybody knew that the defense would make some stops, and they did. And the offense was going to keep rolling, and in the end of the day, we were going to have a chance. Get it to the fourth quarter, and we're going to win the football game. And that was the belief throughout.
Offensively, I asked you about Trez Morgan after the game. I want to ask you again that you've had time to go and watch the film. He had 170 career yards entering Saturday against South Dakota State. I believe had 156 in the game alone. Again, Michael Thomas being out for the rest of the year, of course, opened a door for somebody to help and step in and fill that void. But for Trez, what allowed him to be ready for that moment on Saturday night?
Doing his job, making plays when they come to you. I go the week before. Here's a young man who's trying to make something outside the scheme of the punt return. I love Ron Trez. He was trying to do something that just wasn't there. He tried to return a punt against Northern Iowa and almost cost the team big time. And he took it upon, hey, the plays are coming. Let them come to you. Do your job, and they'll come to you. Don't try to do anything outside. Just doing your job. And that's exactly what he did. Plays came his way, and he went up and made some unbelievable catches. And the thing I was real impressed with Ron Trez was his blocking in the perimeter. I thought he did a great job of doing that as well as all our wideouts do, but letting everything come to him, and it showed on Saturday night.
Knowing you were so physical at the point of attack after a week where on the third and manageables, the fourth and shorts, where you weren't able to execute against Northern Iowa, I don't want to, pleasing is probably the bad word for me to use here to describe this, but what was your emotion watching it to see when you had fourth and goal at the 1, you got it in. When it was third and manageable, for the most part throughout the night, you were able to move the football and able to execute on downs that you weren't able to do a week prior.
Building on that is going to be the biggest thing this week, that we can continue to grow. We made some steps in the right direction offensively, and obviously continue to come together defensively and special teams. But there was progress, but we got to keep building on that. Not taking a step back, but keep taking step forwards.
Now this week in Missouri State, as much as I think internally we feel this program has improved, it's the same feeling in Springfield when they make the trip over. This is a group that really, you look at they had one non-D1 game like we did against Lincoln. They had a major Power 5 game in Oklahoma State. Their other games, arguably, they were right there and could have beat South Dakota over the weekend. The biggest improvement you've seen in the Bears?
Consistency. I've known Coach Steckel for some time. I know what kind of man he is. I know what kind of program he's going to run. He's building it from the ground up. You see improvement week in and week out, year in and year out. And that's what they are. They can beat anybody, just like any team in this conference. You can beat anybody at any given week, and they've done that. And they're competitive. They're ranked last week. Should be ranked this week, in my opinion. But they're a fine football team. Got a great coaching staff. They do it the right way. I see them on the road recruiting. You got a great staff. Work hard. Do it the right way. And we got a heck of a challenge this week, as we do every week.
Of course, Peyton Huselig and Jason Randall were two guys that had great games against us a year ago. They are back this year. That offense, one of the challenges that they have is they can score in a hurry. Not that it's any different than maybe the offense you played a week ago or just this over the weekend against South Dakota State. But just the challenge this team presents and how they run their offense, even though Coach Steckel's really more known as a defensive guy, but the challenges their offense will present.
Well, I think you said it right. Explosive. I believe it was 38-6 or something at halftime last year. But they scored at will last year against us, and they can score at any time. That's what type of offense they have. Being able to keep it in front, keep them contained will be a heck of a challenge for us this week.
Before you get to Saturday, though, there's going to be a special presentation on Thursday for the practice field. Jack and Joyce Rinchler kindly being a main donor. Mike and Amy Alley, I know, have helped out with it as well. And hopefully not forgetting any other names that are a part of that. But it's a practice field I know has been a main point of emphasis for you, and not just helping what goes on out at Memorial Stadium and around it, but why this is an important project and the excitement for Thursday to have that ceremony and unveil. I know there's still work to do, but to at least know that you're a step closer.
Yeah, and you mentioned Jack and Joyce and Mike and Amy, and obviously their contribution to this, and how excited we are for that. John and Marilyn Tin obviously were very generous as well. Denny McGuire, those are just to name a few, but really excited about what this is going to give our program. The ability not only to have another area to practice, having more room with our offense and our defense to go on separate fields and then flip-flop it the next day will be tremendous. But just what a shot in the arm. That's what Indiana State needs. We've been real fortunate here that we've been continuing building, whether it be in the weight room, whether it be the advancements in the stadium, or whether it be in the nutrition or the offices and now the practice field, and that we're continually going in the right direction.
For your team on Saturday, what will continue to be the main point of emphasis, the main message as you approach this week? And know that Saturday, as always, can, I don't want to say necessarily present distractions, but obviously with homecoming, with Tent City, the environment, it's going to be electric. Just how you continue to help your guys through this week is, of course, there'll be events throughout the week, too, with it being homecoming.
Well, I talked to the team last night. Our job this week is to go to class, practice, and prepare to win a football game. That's our job this week. In a year from now, 2 years, 10 years, 20 years, you come back because you earned a meaningful degree from a great institution like Indiana State, and you can say you played football at Indiana State. That's what homecoming's about. It's not about this week for you right now. It's about going to class, preparing to win. In 5, 10, 20 years from now, you come back with that meaningful degree saying that you played football at Indiana State and how much that means to you, and that you're being successful because of what was given to you or what you earned here at Indiana State. That's what homecoming's all about. And for these young men is to make those people proud. And that when they come back, they look and they're proud of what they have and what this Indiana State program's doing.
Coach, appreciate the time. Good luck against the Bears. We'll catch up with you next week.
Okay, thank you very much.